Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwann and welcome to Selling Power TV. Today we continue our conversation with Vijay Sundaram, Chief Strategy Officer with Zoho.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate your insights on, you're Chief Strategy Officer, and a lot of companies need to align the corporate strategy with the organizational structure, align sales and marketing to execute the strategy. Where does Zoho fit in an organization? What problems can you solve better than anybody else?
Mm-hmm. Let me take the first thread you pointed out, how your strategy evolves as a consequence of your philosophy or your people, right? So we are a software company. What we do well is build products. And so people come and engage with us because that's what they want to do. You know that Zoho has more than 30 or 40 products.
Right.
That's fundamentally the reason why the strategy has gone into a multi-product strategy. Because somewhere along the way we realized that there are people who simply want to do this. They're capable of doing this. The costs of doing this have dramatically reduced over time. What would take a 100-person team to do can be done today in even a 10-person team or less. So strategies that were inadmissible half a generation ago, which is where people would tell you focus on what you're planning to do, get this one thing right, are inadmissible in the world today when you can leverage technology across multiple products, where small teams can effectively work, when there's a notion of open source software, when there's a notion of knowledge that can be gained at any level because of online courses and MOOCs and so on. So that has changed the nature of how you consider what is appropriate strategy. So all of a sudden you can be building dozens of products, and that's completely admissible and might be a source of competitive advantage. So that leads me to the second point, which is, as a consequence of that, we've been able to put together, first we started simply building a lot of products, and that turned out we'd find an opportunity and say, okay, what are we doing as a company? We're a large company. What are we doing for marketing automation? Why are we paying company X this money? Why can't we do it? So we figure it out. And now that we've done several products, our mindset is we solve it for us. We're going to solve it in a generalized enough way that we can solve it for multiple customers. So that becomes a product, right? So that explained why we had a number of such products. Then over time, it evolved into what can we do to connect all these things? How can we make the sum of these actually a better experience for the customer? Classic example is in the area that you cover. You had sales software, and then you had CRM, and then you had people doing marketing, and then you had customer help desk software, and all of those were disconnected, different parts of the company. Now we all see it under the same lens of customer experience. And so why not connect all these things? Why can't a support agent know the customer's entire history when they're taking the ticket, right, to know that this is a top 25 customer, not the guy who came in for a free product last week, right? And therefore I need to give them a certain type of attention. So that's an example of what we've done by integrating this information across. And once you have that breadth of platform, you can bring to bear information that you won't be able to do if you don't have that breadth. I'll give you an example. I can tell you the agent at the support desk can tell if a customer has been delinquent on their payments because it connects to the finance system, right? So again, because we supply that software as well, we can make that judicious decision to export that kind of information into this context. So that's the next wave of our evolution. First was building all these set of products. The next thing is to connect them in these interesting ways that companies, even companies with a set of products, will find limiting to do because they just simply don't have that same breadth.
So the word that comes to my mind is complete integration of all parts.
Yes.
Into one seamless whole. So you have a holistic approach to integrating the strategy with the culture, with the technology.
Yes.
And they're all synergistic.
Yes, in fact, this thinking culminated last year in one of our products, which is fairly, I would say, probably the most innovational thing that we've done. Innovative thing that we've done is something called Zoho One, which puts all our products together on anybody's desk. So imagine a company of 50 people or 500 people. You'd have people in sales, you'd have people in marketing, you'd have people in different areas, and they use different software and so on. And for the longest time, software has evolved under this notion that it's something that's rare or something that's expensive and should be used sparingly. You know, when I first started my career, I would count the number of Salesforce licenses I would get because they cost a bomb, right? And it was, and if a marketing person needed it, I'd try and see if they could double up with a salesperson so that I don't have to pay for that software, or you see. So you see my point. So the idea was, it was treated as this rare resource that needed to be rationed.
Right.
And now what you have is we've flipped that completely. We've turned it into something like a utility. It's like if you go to your office, you expect the lights to be on, you expect a plug point on your desk. Nobody's counting whether you use the power or not. Right. So in some ways, what we're doing to software is making it a utility. Amazon is doing that in their side of the business, in infrastructure. They're simply making it a utility. You plug in and you take what you want and you pay. Right? So we're doing that to software. So you take this, Zoho One was the example of that. You buy it for your entire company, and you don't worry about whether you use the accounting part or not. Of course, you can decide who uses what, but you don't worry about whether I'm using 3 out of the 30 applications or 4. You just realize that it's all available on my desk. If I want to use a spreadsheet, it's right there. If I want to use marketing software, it's there. Why? And you know, it opens up, it breaks boundaries, it opens up things. Because I have software that does surveys, I might actually decide to go and poll the people I work with. Maybe internally, maybe externally. Why? Because I simply have this and it's easy to use, and I can put together a survey in 10 minutes. So it changes the way people behave. It changes the way people engage when all that capability is made available to you. And that should be tied into the strategy of the company where I started my conversation, where software is, if you think it should be ubiquitous and if you think it should not be rationed, then you should make it cheap enough. And that's part of the thinking. So you need to evolve that cost structure that can do this over a long period of time and put it on everybody's desk.
That's awesome. How can people learn more about your business philosophy and your strategy?
Well, it would be a cliche to say come to our website, but we do have a spot on our website called Perspectives, where we share how we think. It's not marketing copy. It's not about our products. It's about how we think. So it has things like on how we think about people, how we think about some of the items, things I talked about earlier, how the developing people. How do we think about this notion I just mentioned? What is our view on privacy? You know, we haven't made a dime in our life on advertising, and we never will, because we think that's completely against the grain of what a company should do. So you can see our view there. So that's the place, I would say, to go and find out more about our culture.
We're going to continue our conversation with Vijay, and in the next segment, we're going to focus more on Zoho as a CRM tool. Thank you.
Thank you.